Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video we're going to take a look at a game that I had in the ZOW, the Tier 10 Japanese Heavy Cruiser. I'm playing by myself, and it's some domination here on Haven, and on the enemy team, in the Yamato, is my buddy Rabadoo from APOC. For my captain skills, I have Priority Target, Direction Center, Expert Marksman, Adrenaline Rush, Basics of Survivability, Superintendent, Demolition Expert, and Concealment Expert. And for my equipment, I have Main Armaments Mod 1, Aiming Systems Mod 1, Gunfire Control Systems Mod 2 for extra range, Damage Control Mod 1, Steering Gears Mod 2, and Concealment Systems Modification 1. So the ZOW here in World of Warships, what do you need to know about it? This is a ship that has been featured a few times on the channel, and at least for me, I had this incredible game with Aaron on one of the PTS servers where I did over 320,000 damage in a pretty effortless game, to be honest with you, on Islands of Ice. I will include that replay in the description below if you're keen on seeing some more hot and sexy ZOW gameplay. However, this replay right here is on the live account. This is my newest addition to my Tier 10 fleet import. And I gotta say that this replay also felt pretty effortless as well. This ship in a Unicum or a Super Unicum's hands is almost untouchable. And what I mean by that is that this cruiser is still, always has been, and there's no reason for it not to be, the best Tier 10 cruiser from, here on out, still. I mean, there's just so much to like about this ship. You have an incredible broadside of 12 8-inch guns, and of course, since they're Japanese, you have best-in-class alpha damage on these high explosive shells, and you're going to see some absolutely filthy rolls in this game against enemy ships, be it cruisers, battleships, or destroyers. The ship is also very stealthy. You can get its detection down to 9.7 kilometers with a full concealment build like I have, which allows you to sneak up and get the jump on quite a few cruisers that you will come across in your matchmaking bracket of tiers 8 through 10, and even a Khabarovsk, the tier 10 Soviet destroyer, not running a full concealment build, will get detected at 9.7, so this is a very good counter to a Khabarovsk. The ship also has decent AA performance. It has wonderful troll armor. There's this ridiculous plate of armor, I think it's 30 to 40 millimeters thick, that goes along the side. It's basically a torpedo belt, and it kind of acts like the Amagi, where the shells that hit it, coming in at almost any angle, just straight up fail to penetrate, and it doesn't even matter what caliber shells it is, short of the Yamato. It's able to bounce it with pretty good regularity. And you also have 30 millimeters of deck armor, so once again, you're able to auto bounce pretty much any shell that comes in from a good angle. And although it only has 40,800 hit points, which is one of its few downsides, you can just absolutely tank shells. And that's why I run Basics of Survivability and Superintendent, to get an extra heal, and then also to take less time from fire damage, flooding, and whatnot. So you can get still a pretty decent amount of hit points, theoretically, with this ship. My first shot of the game manages to secure a few hits and a fire on that enemy Fletcher, and it was only the front guns, and I still did over 2,000 points of damage, so a very nice salvo right here. But if there's one thing that the ZOW is incredibly good at, it's dealing with enemy battleships. And the reason being, of course, is, like I mentioned earlier, the amount of guns that you have, the wonderful performing high explosive shells, and the fire chance on this thing, which is north of 20% with Demolition Expert and the flags, and it allows you to, just absolutely obliterate superstructures on any enemy battleship that you come across. However, this thing also has sneaky good armor-piercing shells, and it's something that a lot of people don't realize. 5,600 alpha damage on a Citadel allows you to have, well, if you manage to shoot at something like a British light cruiser, hence that Neptune that just appeared at the corner of the island, you can get a really nice roll. 6 overpens and 1 Citadel, and I was still able to do about 14,000 points of damage. Obviously, the Citadel was very nice to have, but yeah, don't ever underestimate the AP performance on a ZOW. It can absolutely obliterate cruisers just as good as something like a Hindenburg or a Des Moines. I'm now looking for some shots here at the turrets as he took a massive salvo from my buddy in the Montana, getting the shots out. And you can see that gearing at 8.5 kilometers away, and he will be starting to turn towards our position. And there we go. I already have fire number 3. Basically every HE salvo that I've shot has started a fire. Now this right here is exactly what I'm talking about with the performance of the high explosive. I do manage to just get detected right there. The gearing is slowing down, and right as he starts his turn to port, I get a full broadside out. The shells fly in. 11,000 damage done with a fire, of course, because why not? That gearing just had half of his hit points taken away by a high explosive salvo, not an AP. And gearings do take massive damage from AP salvos from anything, but high explosive, that's just absolutely incredible. 5,600 right there on the Iowa. And what do you know? I set another fire, already up to 5 of them. RNG has been very, very kind to me at this beginning part of the game. But yeah, just the absolute damage that you can do. I mean, I love getting high rolls and citadels with armor piercing, but the amount of HE salvos, the high roll HE salvos that you'll have in this thing is pretty incredible. And you can see here I'm also playing Zhao in what is, at least for her, the most ideal situation. Kiting away, moving at a quarter, half, three-quarter speed, playing with the rudder just slightly, playing with the engine slightly as well. And basically putting yourself into a position where if you do need to turn and tank or dodge shells that are coming in, you also have a great rudder shift on this as well. So it's really, really easy to do so. I believe it gets under 7-second rudder shift if you have steering gear modification 2, like I do. I think it's 6.8 or something. And you can see here that Iowa just continues to take massive damage from my high explosive. He's down to about half health. And you can see the shells that come in. I only took 7,000 points of damage right there from that guy. And I was angled, honestly, not very ideally, but simply because this thing has that troll armor, it allows you to really not take citadels too often. And then, of course, with the heal, I'm able to get back at least half of the hit points that got taken away there. While this guy continues to burn, as I set yet another fire on that guy, and he continues to lose a whole crap load of his hit points. I'm already up to 86,000 points of damage, if you haven't been taking a look at the damage counter, and I've only been shooting for quite, about a few minutes here. And you can see, once again, 6,500 damage. Yes, I know, that's a decent hit, but it was nothing catastrophic. It was nothing bad. And because, of course, that I have Adrenaline Rush on this thing, it's going to get that slow reload that the Zhao has down even further. And there we go. I set one more fire on the Iowa, and it takes him out. That Tier 9 American battleship, I'm up to 98,000 points of damage. The score's 539 to 472. We have 2 caps. The enemy team has 2 caps. They've lost 4 ships. We have lost 3. And now I'm getting some parting shots here at the Alabama. I don't even start a fire, and I only use the rear turrets, and I managed almost 5k on that salvo. And that's probably the biggest upgrade that you have from the Ibuki. You not only get 2 extra guns and a better turret layout, but you also have much better range, and the shell velocity, 920 meters a second compared to the Ibuki's 840, just allows you to hit things, well, up to and including your maximum range pretty easily, and it's really, really nice to have. So at this point, the enemy team is still kind of hanging around in their base. They are moving a little bit towards the south and the southeast section of the map. So I'm just trying to reposition myself, quite honestly. The Montana and the Alabama both ran away from me after watching their Iowa buddy get absolutely obliterated. Somebody else did get a nice salvo on him too. And you can see my buddy Robadu on the enemy team is also moving down here to the south in his Yami. So I'm still going to continue to focus on these enemy battleships. And again, this is the Zhao's, this is when it's in its most efficient form, being able to just burn those things down from very long range. However, I will certainly take a shot at this gearing. He's a little bit over 12 kilometers away. The dispersion looks very, very good. Unfortunately, the shells land just short, and I'm not able to take care of that guy or get some more damage onto him, and he is going to be able to get into the smoke drain. And now I'm looking for some shots here on my buddy Robadu. 18.7 kilometers. And one thing about the Zhao that I really, really enjoy, and I don't necessarily use on all of my cruisers, is I have the aiming systems to get the accuracy better. And if you haven't paid attention during this game, the accuracy on the salvos, I mean, the Zhao is already one of the most accurate cruisers in the game. And then tossing on that equipment piece just makes this thing so easy to land at the very least half of your salvo if you aim correctly. Like that one right there, 6 out of 12, with yet another fire set, make that fire number 9. And yeah, it's just really easy to aim with this thing. And once you get down the muzzle velocity difference from the Ibuki, it's just terrifying when you're landing most of your shells on target. Looking for the next shot here on the Alabama. My reload's gotten down to about 12 seconds with Adrenaline Rush so far. So that's very nice. Shells are flying in on that guy. We'll see if I'm going to be able to register some hits. And I do not. That salvo was actually pretty bad as well. However, I'm now getting ready to turn in. I was waiting to see if those enemy battleships were going to shoot at me. There are some shells coming in from the Yamato. Appears that it hits my friendly Yamato off my backside. And right there, I don't even start a fire. And about 5,000 points of damage yet again. Unfortunately, the enemy Alabama and Minotaur both managed to secure kills within a rather short time of each other. So now each team has lost 5 ships apiece, 628 to 610. I'm in a situation right here where, well, I don't really have too many shots. You can see that last salvo, all the shells dip into the island. So at this point, I'm now going to try to reposition myself to get some shots at the Montana and the Alabama. But I do have to be careful because I know that Robadoo, he's a very good shot, and I have to be very careful about going around this island. And if there is one downside to the ZOW, another one I should say, if you do run the range mod, which I really do recommend on this thing, you do get detected, of course, because stealth firing is no longer a thing. So for the timid ZOW captains that like to stay at the back and stealth fire, it has affected them. But you know, you don't want to be afraid in this ship to get in close. There's nothing wrong with it. A nice salvo right there, 6,700 damage with 9 out of the 12 shells on target. And of course, I set yet another fire. I'm going to be able to get the rear turrets to get their shells over the island. I have been getting detected off and on, sometimes from planes and sometimes from enemy ships, but clearly it is the gearing that has been spotting me. I saw that where he went last undetected at the edge of a smoke screen, a blind shot a few seconds afterwards, and I managed to secure the kill on that tier 10 American destroyer. A very nice snapshot, if I do say so myself. But then, of course, the Neptune gets killed by the Minotaur, so each team now has 6 ships apiece. Unfortunately for my buddy Robadoo, he looks like he was trying to slow down and not drift out behind that island, but unfortunately for him, I'm able to get some shots. 11 of the 12 shells hit on target as I pick up the Confederate, and I'm up to 145,000 points of damage. And I'm waiting to see if he's going to get detected again, because I certainly took a nice chunk of hit points off of him, and somebody else did as well. Looking for the shot here over the island. The shells are in and on the way. And at this point, I'm now going to turn around and deal with the Montana and the Alabama that are coming up off the aft end. I'm going to follow the shells in here. A decent bit of damage with a fire set. Will I be able to get the kill? No, the North Carolina manages to take care of my buddy Robadoo. So now that the best player on the enemy team is dealt with, now I feel a lot more comfortable in going back to dealing with these 2 battleships. And again, that's the thing. This thing has enough armor and enough wiggling with the, you know, the great turning radius and the rudder shift. You can deal with battleships so easily. And although I've lost about a quarter of my hit points, I mean, the trade-off that I've had, I've lost about 11,000 hit points total, and I've done 149,000 points of damage, and there's still plenty more that has to be done here. And that's just why this thing is, it's just so much, it's fun to play, but sometimes it can get a little bit boring because all you're doing is just lighting everything on fire and dealing a ridiculous amount of damage, and you can get lulled into just staying at range, and you know, you're at that situation where you're just mindlessly dealing damage, but you kind of lose focus of the tactical picture. However, I certainly haven't this game, and we've made some very good plays, and now my buddies are moving in towards Objective Bravo to get that 3-1 cap lead, hopefully. You can also see enemy planes are in on the way from the Lexington. My fighter is trying to deal with them. More shells flying, only a couple hit for overpens, nothing too bad right there. And this Montana did the worst thing possible. He used his damage control immediately when he got set on fire just one time. So why is that a bad thing? Well, you're never supposed to do that. And then, of course, this is the time where RNG is actually going to screw me over a little bit. And I was cursing myself right now because it's like, can I just get a couple fires burning on this guy? It would certainly help out the damage, and it would also certainly help out my teammates. That salvo was a little bad because he decided to slow down, it appears. It looks like he's going to a stop. There are the planes coming in, and now you're going to see the ZOW's decent AA, even against Tier 8 CV right here. I'm focusing the torpedo planes, of course. They are way more of a threat than the dive bombers. Managed to shoot down 4 of them. Now I switch my focus back to the dive bombers. They are coming in. I am also angled very well against the Montana. All of his shells miss, and all of the dive bombers managed to miss as well, so that's obviously very good stuff right there. And now I'm once again opening up my full broadside to be able to get all of my turrets to bear on this Montana. I managed to shoot down 8 of the enemy planes, so a decent bit right there, and you can see why running defensive AA on this thing is highly recommended. I do find quite a few Japanese heavy cruiser captains that decide to go with Hydro, and I really don't understand it. The ZOW's AA, like I mentioned before, is alright, but you really do need the defensive AA whenever there is a carrier, because if that was a midway right there, I would have been in a world of hurt. I managed to get the second fire burning on that enemy Montana, so he is now giving me the Witherer medal as I pick it up with 6:30 left in the game. More shells going down range, and at this point I decide to open up fully. You can see there that the shells bounced off that 30 millimeters of deck armor like I mentioned, and now I'm going to turn into this guy and charge him down, and I just managed to crack 200,000 points of damage. And I'm going to switch my focus here to the enemy Alabama. As more shells fly in on the Montana, you get a decent hit right there. And yeah, just rinse, cycle, repeat. Shoot HE. I pick up the the high caliber now as well for my third medal of the game, and I get a fire there on that Alabama, doing well over 5,000 points of damage. as I'm getting ready for yet another salvo at this guy. And it's unfortunate because the game is about to end as my buddies are trying to capture Objective Bravo, and the North Carolina manages to take out the Hindenburg. So now it's 958 to 704. The game is ending, so now I'm just trying to farm as much damage as I can before it ends. I only managed to get 3 of the gun shooting. Shells coming in from the Monty, and I bounced the whole salvo right there, angled in very, very nicely. And I take 4,000 damage there from the enemy Alabama, and I'm getting ready for the forward guns right here. However, the Yamato over there, the Red Angel, is shooting 36,000 health on the Monty, and he gets deleted, and that ends the game here in the Zao. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. 453,000 credits received and 16,520 total XP. I pick up Confederate, Witherer, and High Caliber for 234,000 points of damage done off of 270 shell hits that got 16 fires and 1 Citadel, shot down 8 Lexington planes, and killed 2 enemy ships. Taking a look at the team score, 2,447 base XP, easily tops on the team. Like to make a shout out, of course, again to my buddy Robadoo. Unfortunately, he didn't have the best of games in the Yamato, but our team was more successful and we were able to take care of business. And also our Lexington did pretty good as well in this game. Taking a look at the detailed report, 146,000 damage done with the main battery and 88,000 damage done with the fires. And I didn't even get to use my torpedoes, which I certainly would have against that Montana that I was chasing down. About 1.5 million potential damage, which is obviously very nice. And then the credits and XP. I only earned 165,000 credits with the premium account, but of course you don't play your tier 10s for money. You play the tier 10s to do good and kick some butt. So with that being said, Sneaky Snake here for Brothers in Arms World of Warships. Hope you guys enjoyed the replay. Please consider commenting on it, liking the video, or subscribing to the channel. All of it is very much appreciated. And with that being said, have a fantastic day.